All right. What is going on, everybody?
What up?
Yeah, welcome back to another Serious Angler podcast. Andy, what's going on, dude?
Not a whole lot. Just a week before the big Christmas parties and stuff, in the COVID era. So we're just kind of hanging out. And how about you? What's up with you?
Yeah, I keep forgetting that next week's Christmas.
Right? Doesn't even feel like it, even though we got a
like
first coat of snow.
Yeah, it feels like early fall for me. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a COVID year thing or what, but
yeah, it's just funky year.
Yeah, very weird. But it seems like things are shaping up a little bit better for 2021. Hopefully things work out, and we got some stuff in the works that hopefully go through, and we can tell you guys about coming up. But I have the Hobie. It's officially in the garage, and I don't think I'm going to take it out at all. I'm going to take it down to Cuca in a couple weeks to Morgan Marine, swap that out for the PA-12 once that shipment comes in from Hobie with the 2021 editions. So I'm pretty pumped with that. Got some things in the fire. Just need to wait to hopefully they process out. And now we wait for the ice season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could go trout fishing, but I think I'm laying off of it a little bit this year, maybe like 1 weekend a month, if I even go. Just trying to gear up, plan, get ready for 2021 tournament derby season. So that's the main focus.
Nice. I'm still looking down the queue at Brent right now. He's still holding him up. You guys will see what we're joking about here. He's still holding him up, and
I saw you looking down. I was like, he's got to be looking at the hog.
I'm still laughing at it. You guys will see when we bring him on here in a second. But today's episode, we're bringing on our good buddy, Mr. Brent Butler. We're going to talk to him about the Toyota Series Championship, how his season went this year, what's coming on for 2021. And but a big congratulations to Brent, because we just learned offline here he retired from his teaching job and got a sweet new gig. So huge congratulations to him. But
now, if I remember correctly, he's a guide on Chick too, right? Is that it, or is he just a stud there?
He's a stud. Yeah,
right.
He's just a straight stud.
I couldn't remember if he guided there or not. So
I can't recall either. We'll have to ask him.
We'll have to ask him. Yeah. Perfect.
But we'll ask him in about a minute here after a quick message from Hobie. All right, we are joined by Mr. Brent Butler here. We got him on the show. You guys can see I highly encourage everyone to be watching this show, because Brent has had a total makeover. He's gotten a little bit hairier since the last time we spoke with him. His teeth are a lot bigger. Brent, how you doing, dude?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. How about y'all?
How does it feel to be whipping around the leg with that big old thing?
Oh, man.
I'm impressed you were holding that for the whole time you were in the queue.
So, before we get started, we have to hear the hog story.
Okay, so this is Porky. Okay, so Porky basically he run. I mean, he's massive. Give you an idea. Look, I mean, you can see my head here. This is really how big Porky is. He's huge. So, buddy of mine, his aunt and uncle run a dairy farm, and so around here we got some farmers and a lot of people, trying to help out farmers because I mean they play a huge role in society and everything. Anyways, fast forward, hogs are nuisance around here in a lot of areas. So fortunate enough to be able to hunt that farm with a good friend of mine, and Jeff Millsaps and everything. So anyways, they would basically come out and just tear up the field, certain parts they raised, you know, for crops to feed the cows and everything else, and run that dairy. But anyways, Porky here, they'd seen him a couple times, and but he was really slick, man, really smart. And luckily one night we went out there, and it was going to snow, and basically how it works is, because a lot of people like, you hunt at night, well, you watch Pig Man and a lot of other great shows, you know. So basically you send in paperwork, you know, the property owner will, and you get like up to 12 guys can be on this list for nuisance permit, so you can hunt them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whatever else. But anyways, so we go out there one night, it's freaking cold as ever, and the particular field that they'd been coming into, there wasn't supposed to be any cows in there, and I thought one of the cows had got out. So Porky here was rooting a trench in the silage pile. I mean, it was huge. It looked like a doggone backhoe went in there, just dug out a ditch, and he would lay in it. So anyways, we went out there one night, and we were slipping around it, and I see it take off running, and I thought it was one of the calves, because I mean, he was freaking big. And I said, is there any cows in here? And he's like, no, there's not supposed to be. So buddy of mine's looking through night vision. He's like, I see him running out through there. So I stopped, and I turned the light on. I was like, somebody shoot him. Well, they couldn't see him. And I was like, somebody shoot him, because I was afraid that he was going to take off. And he went to take off, and I just went woof, woof, like that. And son, he just locked up, turned around, son, and looked about 60 yards like he's going to come back and start charging me. And so I let him have it, and he went about 60 yards. And man, we thought we was going to get the tractor to load him up, because we weighed him, and he was like 453. So he's huge, man. I mean, but I'm always do what now?
I said he's beefy.
Oh yeah, he was huge. His I mean, to skin him out, it was literally like the fat and stuff on him. It was literally like 1.5 inches thick. It was unbelievable that, you know, I mean, how much he had on him. But he's got some cuts on him and stuff from other boars. You can see right here where he'd been fighting. My taxidermist, he had to patch it up, and I said, leave him rough, man. He lived a rough life, son. I mean, he was tearing up Jack though, so but no more. So old Porky, man, he's long-lived Porky. So I always wanted to get one mounted, so I got
the biggest one of the bunch.
Anyways,
yeah.
No, yeah, he's now. I'm telling you so. But anyways, you guys got hogs up that way?
I know they have some like right on the PA New York border. There's some feral hogs, but that's about it.
Yeah, at southern tier, there's a little bit, not kind of sparse, but not enough to where it's like it's a problem. Where honestly, like the people up here, if they saw them, you know, if I'm at a deer stand and I see one run by, I'd probably think it's the neighbor's pig. I wouldn't even pay anything to it. But like a lot of people don't realize down there by you guys and further south is like those things are an actual problem. Like people have, I've seen helicopter charters just for guys to go out and shoot them from the helicopter.
Like 40 cows.
Open season kills you can. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. That's it. So they'll definitely do a number. They'll definitely do a number for sure.
But yeah, and people don't realize, I think, the damage that they can actually do. It's actually kind of crazy when you see the pictures. I've never seen it in person, but the pictures and videos I've seen you can't. It blows your mind how much damage they can do.
They're mean little buggers.
Yeah. And they. Yeah, that's it. They eat good though, you know.
Yeah,
man, they got to be the size of Porky.
Yeah. Well, ideally, the perfect size one, eating size is basically that, 80 to 120. When you get Porky size, it's, it's pretty tough, because he's a big tough hog,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how good of bacon it would make.
Actually, we ate some of that, but the farmers, we gave it to actually 3 neighboring farmers. We divided it up because they wanted it. And so we kept just a little bit of the meat and the bacon and give the rest to those 3 farmers. So
perfect.
They've done a lot of damage there. So
yeah, heck yeah. I've seen they've actually turned it into. I've seen some of the outfitters that do a lot, that have some of the hog trips that you can take. They've actually taken it and turned it into a pretty cool way of giving back, where they're donating a lot of the hogs, because you shoot a bunch of them, you only need really 1 or 2 to last you a couple months, right? I mean, I imagine it's kind of similar to deer. So I mean, you can donate a lot of that to the need. That's something that it's pretty good that they're making out of it. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely, for sure.
But dude, we want to hear about how your 2020 season went, and I know you just got done with the Toyota Series Championship at Lake Cumberland. Sound like that was freezing, but and it sounded like you mentioned to me over text that you learned a bunch. So we want to hear what you learned about that too. We want to hear about that. But you talk to us about your 2020 season, how it went for you.
Yeah, well, it was a lot like everybody else's 2020 season, crazy, So it started out all right, and then obviously due to the COVID and everything, then FLW / well, now Major League Fishing, they had to shift a lot of the events. Basically fished the Central Division and the Mountain Division BFLs, and then due to COVID, all the Mountain BFLs had to be held on Del Hollow, which was all right because I was very unfamiliar with that body of water, and which is a Highland Reservoir, and those fish act totally different. I learned a lot. I mean, definitely struggled there, but I learned where I need to shift gears and focus more on those type of lakes to get better. I've been fortunate enough to fish a lot of bodies of water, but Highland Reservoirs, man, I mean, they beat me up. It's like leave me scratching my head a lot because those fish react totally different. I don't know how familiar you guys are with, Highland Reservoirs, but they have a tendency, lots of times to suspend over, deep water, 60, 80 feet, and they'll suspend 20, 40, basically wherever the bait's at and things like that, depending on the time of year and the water temperature, obviously. But you got certain times of year they'll be up on the bank good and things like that, but very short term because they're, predator and they want to eat. So Del Hollow deals was all right. Cashed a check in most of those except for one, I think. And then, got to fish the regional, which was on Chicken. I qualified for the All-American for 2021, which was awesome. So I'm excited about that. And then Toyota Series wise, we had Chick event and we got top 10 there. I think finished 4th. And then Pickwick, I squeaked in and got a check. I think I was like 32nd. Then Del Hollow, I was sitting like 8th in points, and I knew, I was like, man, we're going back to here. I just need to catch some bass. And I was like right there for the tour. Right there. And gosh, man, I screwed up. I sucked. There's no other way to put it. I had a good pattern going in first 2 days of practice, and I think we had that storm come up from the south, and it changed barometric pressure and temperature and everything else, and so it made those fish, the way I was catching them in about 10 to 12 foot of water, overall it pulled them to wherever. Adam Wagner ended up winning the event at like 50 foot of water, so it made them pull way out. But yeah, it was crazy, man. It was tough for me to get about. You could catch, they got a slot limit on the smallmouth, so you're only allowed one under 16, or one between 12 and 16 inches. They call it one under, and then you're allowed one over 21. And other than that, you got to fish largemouth. So you could have like day 3 of practice. Gosh, it was crazy, like 19, 20 pounds of smallmouth, but they wouldn't do you no good because you couldn't keep them, So I was fortunate enough to find one little deal that had some smaller smallmouth and basically day 1, I run a couple of places and caught me one under smallmouth, and then was trying to catch largemouth. I tried some grass deals and things like that. And another buddy of mine actually found the same deal, and he and I hadn't even talked prior to the event, during the event, or nothing, but I rolled up on the spot and he was there. and I'd caught one about 4 pounds out of it on a certain little turn on it. And fast forward to the weigh in, he actually caught the same fish. It had the hook point where I caught it, where I flipped it up in his mouth, and it was a 4-pounder. And that 4 pounds, that one fish, had I would have caught it, I mean, it's fishing the way it is, no excuse. But I basically missed the tour by 4 pounds, and that one fish would have done it for me.
Oh,
so I don't know. You know, I mean, I should have been able to catch some somewhere else. It is what it is. I have no regrets. I just need to take where I went wrong and learn from it. You know, that's the biggest thing about fishing. It's not always, sure, everybody wants to win. You want to be on top, but still, it's a never-ending learning game. You know, it does not matter. You know, the time of year, the weather conditions, the science behind it. You know, all fishermen pretty much understand that. But
yeah,
that's basically it. But that one little bitty smallmouth got me into you know, to the championship on Cumberland, and I knew I was already dreading out, and I was like, man, you know, I was like, I'm just going to go, and just, it is what it is. I'm just going fishing, going to have fun. You know, I mean, it's the biggest tournament of my life. Fish for, you know, $230,000, you know, but at the same time, I put so much pressure on myself at Del Hollow. I think I just beat myself, you know, because I was like right there, and it felt like you got to catch them, you got to catch them, you got to catch them. So I went to that event and just went and had fun, man. The day that it snowed, it was cold and everything else. I mean, they were chomping. And I was like, well, this might be all right. Well, as it progressed, it was basically, to my knowledge, there's several guys that I talked to, you basically would get 5 to 7 bites a day. And whatever weight you got with those 5 to 7 bites is what you had. That's why if you look at a lot of the standings, you would see like 3 fish, 2 fish. Some guys have a limit, whatever else. But it was basically whatever you got. You might get 2 keepers, 3 keepers, and 3 short fish, and that was it. You just grind it out. But it was, you know, the lake was in a different stage. From talking to not only Bill Taylor, but, you know, other guys, you know, certain parts of it had turned over in certain areas, and then it was actually coming down the lake, you know. And so anytime you have a turnover in certain lake, I mean, you know, it messes it up. I mean, it's just not good. And so, but that's basically, man, what I've learned. I've definitely got to focus a lot more on howling reservoirs. I mean, it's definitely one of my biggest weaknesses. I mean, I learned a lot, but those fish, understand them, is very different than any, you know, Alabama Lake, Tennessee River Lake, things like that, you know. So, yeah, but it is what it is, you know. Glad to end up where I did, and, you know, life goes on, you know.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I'm curious about is, because obviously, you know, you're used to fishing the TVA, you know, your home water's Chick, and that's what you're used to. So that adjustment to a highland reservoir, you know, saying that's something your biggest weakness, you know, what you said you learned a bit about it. You know, so what are some key points that you took away from that highland reservoir that you learned from it? You know, without giving away anything too secretive, but something that you kind of realized, something that clicked in your head.
I think, you know, if I had it to do over again, especially Cumberland, I felt that I should have just covered a lot more water than what I did. You know, I mean, I'm talking about, you know, basically those fish that they like crankbaits. Everybody knows that. It's no secret. Just fishing down the bank, you know, but you basically just trolling motor on high and should have covered more water than what I did. I made an average of 12 to 13 stops a day, but I think I fished too much water to an extent, and I think I should have, if I could be able to dial in more, you know, particular sections, whether it be 20 yards, 30 yards, instead of fishing 150 yards, and made 50 to 60 stops, I think it might have been better off, you know.
That makes sense.
So, you know, and two, knowing when to pull, you know, I say pull the plug and, you know, basically move from one area of the lake to another area of the lake and things like that, you know. So, and two, you know, they fluctuate the water a lot. When I say fluctuate, they draw it down a lot. It's not really fluctuating like tidal or anything. So you basically, you know, I need to research. It sounds crazy, but in my mind, I need to research a lot more on certain types of rock, and that's what I want to do, versus temperatures. I know in my mind which one, heats up faster, cools down faster, and things like that, but there's something to it, just in my opinion. Somebody may have it figured out, but that's in my mind. So I'm definitely going to start researching rock, types of rock and things like that.
I wonder if it's not even so much. I wonder if it's not even so much the type of rock, but the way the rock is positioned on the shore bank and like the shape of the rock.
Absolutely. Yes, that is correct. That I agree with you there. I still feel there's something behind it within temperatures though as well.
Yeah,
I personally,
like the first lake I think of when it comes to like cold weather tournaments that I remember watching would be like the Bassmaster Classic tournaments at Grand Lake. And if you really paid attention to it, you would see that they were literally fishing extremely specific stuff in those backwater areas that had certain rock on it.
Yeah,
I'm almost curious if you look at a tournament like that, that's obviously a colder weather tournament, conditions where temperature does come into play, like kind of how you're talking, how with rock, how it heats up and such. If I would be curious to see a layout of, percentages of anglers who are on the western bank, because if the sun's rising in the east, that means during tournament hours, the western bank's going to have the most sun on it, which is super interesting. I would like to see, if that does come into play, how much more anglers are on that west side of the bank, or how much more fish or bites you might get on the west side versus the east. Because the east might be better in the evening, so say like a Tuesday night or Wednesday nighter. But I don't know. That's super interesting with the temperatures, and that could be why, like private ramps are a great place to catch fish off of, just because that concrete heats up quick.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's my theory, and you're right. I mean, sun rises in the east, sets in the west. I mean, it's kind of, that goes hand in hand, especially certain times of year, within fishing in general. Especially in the springtime. So, but yeah, I mean, I may be totally wrong. That's just my gut wrench feeling. I mean, everybody knows chunk rock, riprap, slate, pea gravel, but I still feel deep down there's something else behind it too. Within that body of water, whether certain algae / plankton grows on certain rocks better than others, and
could be a current deal too.
Bait fish congregate in those areas. I'm sorry, current.
Like a current deal, if they're drawing the water down, there could be specific spots that the current is flowing right for them to set up on too.
Oh yeah. I mean, I agree with you there. But Cumberland is not known for a lot of generation like TVA river change. It'd be very minimum. It's more you get a lot more wind current than anything. And the lake had been pretty stable. I mean, at most they might have dropped it about 6 inches a day, maybe. 4 to 6, and which it really is not a whole lot because that place is huge. It's one of the 9th largest lakes in the United States, I believe. So
it's a big lake.
But,
I was watching it was Andrew Nordby's YouTube video on it, and he had mentioned how much, at least for the area he was fishing, he thought that the water levels were dropping really fast, at least during practice days leading up to the tournament, that the water level had dropped a lot. But it was kind of drastic difference. I mean, you could see in his practice days of the tournament that he was getting a lot of bites. And then as soon as like that one day right before the tournament, when that cold front really slammed you guys, it's like it just light switched, and it was a struggle just to even get a bite.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I mean, I thought maybe it's just for me, but it's a couple other people that I talked to is the same thing. It's like they bit, and then it was a grind. So, but that's it. I mean, it's always 5 fish deals. I mean, obviously catching 5 fish, catching 5 good fish, getting a kicker, and limits will get you a long ways. And because I didn't catch limits, it cost me big time. So
in a tournament like that where it's a grinder, yeah, that's pretty crucial. Did you watch the video of how Monroe, I believe it was Chris Monroe, was that his name?
Malone.
Malone.
Yeah.
Did you watch the video on how he caught him?
No, I watched the weigh-in and stuff, but I didn't see any of live action or anything.
Yeah, there's the day 5 video out that they go out with Kyle, and he goes out with Chris, and basically he was like flipping a tailspin out of bank, no more than 10, 15 foot away, just flipping a tailspin, letting it fall line through tailspin. That's how he was catching.
That's crazy. That's awesome, though, man. That's cool, but I mean that's crazy. Wow. Huh. That's
It was definitely intriguing the way he kind of approached those fish. It was really interesting, yeah. But it's I encourage you to go watch that one just because it's like you thought of how he thought about it, and he was explaining how he differentiated himself from the majority of the top 10, and I thought that was really cool. And I learned a lot from that video too. But congrats on the season. And it sounds like you did well on your home waters as usual. I mean, it's pretty. I think it's very seldom where you see a Chickamauga tournament and you don't see Brent Butler in that top 10.
Yeah, and I just been fortunate and blessed, man, to have it work out. When events come there, knock on wood, because it'll be back June. I believe that's right. It's on the schedule. I don't know. I registered the other day. I put them in my phone, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's June, in June. Toyota Series. That'll be an interesting deal, man. In June.
Now, what is your favorite time to fish?
No, it's May. It's May. I'm sorry, 4th week of May. Yeah, May 20th through the 22nd.
Almost.
That'll be interesting. That will. There'll probably be some big ones weighed in that one in May.
Is that your favorite time to fish, Chick, or like the TVA system in general?
Yeah. I really like fishing anywhere on the TVA in May. But as far as Chick, any time. July and August is tough though, and September. But
I'm sure.
any time that. But the lake is, man, it's changing so much, I mean, it's changed a lot in the past 5 years. It's changed a whole lot.
Now,
I talked to a guy.
I was gonna say, do you have an Asian carp problem starting yet? Like on Chick, like, are you starting to see the Asian carp show up? No. There's a few big head, I know, which is definitely different than the Asians. But to my knowledge, no, I've not seen any. What I thought potentially might have been some Asians one day turned out was big head, and they've been in there for like 25 years, I believe, something like that. That's
so
good.
They're definitely different, and they're totally different than the Asians, But
you gotta avoid the big silver carp.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully it doesn't.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I said hopefully they don't. They don't make it there, but who knows?
Yeah.
You never know.
I've heard they're in like Wheeler and Gunnersville, though. Sorry, Bailey.
You're good. I don't know if they are or not. I have no idea.
I've heard scattered reports, but I mean, it could be big head. So who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know Pickwick does have them. I mean, obviously, that the research has been there to show and studies. But Seth and I were there this year for ABA team tour, and they were. It was after the Toyota Series, and they're getting pretty thick in some areas. We're fishing offshore in a place and look over, and they just probably 150 come out of the boat. It's cruising by. It's like, man, stinking.
Yeah. I had one of those big heads. I had one of those big heads actually. I was cranking one of the bluff walls on Chick, and I had thought I had had caught a bass, and when I reeled into it, it went and started screaming off line, like, you know, peel and drag off the bait caster, and it went and popped off. And the first thing I thought of being down on Chick for the first time ever, I'm like, I just lost a giant. And I bring it back and it has a scale on it, and I'm like, okay, that makes you feel a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know exactly what you're saying, because it'd be like gut wrenching. You know, with that one guy released a report, said, you know, he had one jump in his boat or something, and I talked to a biologist, or one of the guys that works with biologists, TWRA, and they done an extensive shocking. I mean, miles above, miles below, everything for multiple days, and never found anything at all. It was like the craziest thing ever. So
Awesome.
Hopefully that was the only one, you know. And some of those bodies of water, you know, I often wonder too, you know, I mean, a lot of people like to live bait fish and everything, and just hopefully everybody's being responsible and not going to different bodies of water and, you know, just chunking out there and catching something that's, you know, shad or gizzard shad or something, because they really look very similar to each other. And, you know, hope they don't do something like that and bring them back to be the wrong kind. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and then get into a body of water that way, you know, I mean, that'd be awful too as well. So,
well, I didn't realize that you guys had perch on Chick. I had no clue.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's several of them in there too. Several.
Yeah, I had some big ones hit a jerkbait, and I was just like, wait, did I just see what I thought I saw? Like, I didn't realize they were in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what makes you know, it a great body of water as well. I mean, food source. I mean, you think about it. You got any lake, you got aquatic vegetation. Any angler knows what aquatic vegetation does to a lake. I mean, obviously you got, you know, the health, you know, it's healthy for the ecosystem, you know. I mean, from certain algae for the bait fish to eat, it's just a food chain, you know. So being a Chick, you got not only the perch, but you got, you know, big bluegill, big crappie, golden shiners, thread fins. You got, I mean, all kinds of bait, man, for them to eat on and be able to grow big, you know. But unfortunately, I don't know why that the numbers of like 4 to 6 pounders are not there anymore like they used to be. So you see somebody will go and they'll catch a 8, 9, 10 pounder, and sometimes that, you know, 11 or 12. And then you see some like 3 pounders, 2 and 3 pounders. Where used to, you would see a lot of 4 to 6 pounders. You'd see a lot of, you know, 20 pounds, 22, 25s. Sometimes you'd see multiple 25-pound bags, and you don't see that as much anymore like you used to. You'll see one to 3 big bags, and then teens. Seems like really watch that. And I know 6 years ago it'd be like top 10 in CBA. It'd be like 22 plus. You know, but so I don't know.
Was there like a bad drought year? Was there a bad drought year or a flood year where the water was higher than normal?
Yeah. I mean, we had, 3 years ago the water got really high, but that's not slowed it down at all. Trust me. That's not
3 years ago wouldn't affect the 4 to 6 pound fish, because those are going to be like 5 to 7 year old fish. So,
yeah,
interesting.
So it is. It's very interesting, but it'll get back. Still a great place to fish. You know, hopefully everybody that comes and visits, you know, will take take a good picture and let them go and let them grow. You know, but I may have the wrong outlook on it. Maybe some of those smaller fish need to come out so they'll grow. I don't know, but I don't know. It's what it is. But I love the place. You know, it's been really good to not only myself but a whole lot of other anglers, you know, across the U.S. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you said you have not been out since probably 6 weeks ago on Chick, but do you winter? Do you fish in the winter on the TVA?
I do. Yes, I do. I mean, I love going down there. This year I'd fished quite a bit, and I was ready to take a break and go do some deer hunting. To be honest with you, I love to deer hunt, and you know, in the off season, and I'm basically around Christmas to January want to crank back up and, you know, start fishing more than again. But I really like getting out and just, you know, it's peaceful being out there, sitting around. You can think a lot. If I see a big buck or see deer, that's great. Just you know, just it gives me a lot of peace of mind, time to think. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
And
yeah,
so I really look forward to that. You can get away from the rat race of society and everything else, you know. And
Heck yeah.
but yeah, I usually do fish a lot in the wintertime for sure.
Now, how low do they draw check? Because I know they draw those TVA lakes down, so it's got to really either stack them up real good or it doesn't scatter them. Like, what happens in the winter on the TVA system?
Well, it depends on the rainfall. Once they get it, you know, pulled down from, you know, the lakes above all the way down through Gunnersville, you know, that basically TVA watches that, you know, so they don't flood out certain areas, you know, on down the river chain. They basically drop it about 7 feet. Is what we go for it. 6 to 7. You know, you can get on the TVA app, Lake Info, and keep check on it that way. And like 682 is full pool. And most time in the wintertime, you see like a 675, 676. It's usually pretty consistent right there. But when it's really low, say, I mean, like 675 even or less, you got to really be careful on like what ramps you can put in at or anything, because there's very select few. Because when it gets at like 675, even the best of my knowledge, you can put in at Dayton, but you can't get out over the basically where they wanted to have it dredged, but the creek channels basically sealed it in, and you might make it with a push pole, but it's about 250 yards, you know, before you get on across it. In a bass boat anyway, you know. In a fiberglass rig, now aluminum rig, you'd probably be all right. So if somebody's going to go visit there, be sure, you know, to definitely check water levels and ramps, you know, which one's good to put in at you know, low water for sure. And definitely
probably stop at your local tackle shop and find out what ramp is the best one to stop in and buy some tackle while you're there.
Oh yeah. There's you can never have enough tackle, you know. I mean, you got right there at Dayton Boat Dock, you got Michael Neal's place right there. If you're down on the lower end, so you got fishtails, you got Lake Chickamauga, something AJ Barnes and them just opened it up. I hadn't had a chance to go down there and see it yet, but I'm sure, you know, they got some good stuff. And then you got Hiwassee Marine tackle right there at 58. I think Bobby Copeland and those guys run it. You got Fishtails right on over from there. I mean, there's a lot of good places, man. You know, you can buy stuff for sure.
At Dayton Boat Dock, I have never been in a tackle shop like that. When I went down in November, I walked in there and I thought I was only in there about 10, 12 minutes, but when I left, it was 45.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a little bit more than I wanted to spend, but at the end of it, I came back pretty much is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to go watch this again. Yeah. We don't have anything like that up here in New York. Nothing even close.
Really?
No.
Wow. That's crazy. You know, I mean, all the tackle shops that way have a lot. You know, I mean, I live, you know, an hour and 15 minutes from Dayton. And so local ones here, we got Matt McKee. I mean, McKee Outdoors, he runs an awesome place. He's just like Neil's place, except, you know, he has a little more square footage, and he doesn't have, you know, the restaurant in it and things like that. But, man, he's got a ton of stuff as well. And so, I mean, right here in our area, I mean, it's like we really don't think nothing about it. You know, really blessed to have, you know, multiple tackle shops, you know. So in some cases, you got a lot of hard to get stuff. McKee carries a lot of custom stuff that's not sold everywhere, you know, and a lot of it you can't buy on the internet. Some of it you can, and things like that. And so any angler likes that hard to get stuff, you know. Or
it sounds like one of those custom Tennessee balsa shops.
Yep, that's it. for
That's
sure.
The good stuff there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of there's not as many balsa plug makers around as there used to be. Some of those guys unfortunately passed on, but I've got to meet a lot of them and build some plugs with them and things like that whenever I was my late teens and stuff. But yeah, they're definitely well known for that. And like Gary Joe Gibson, Super G Lures, I'm fortunate enough to know him. He doesn't sell online or anything. He's just an old school bait maker, man, and get to go out there and tweak around with a lot of stuff. And if it works, it works. If it don't, scrap it and start over, and just basically, try to build something a little unique with a little different edge, So
heck yeah. Some of the prettiest balsa plugs I've ever seen are built by Rob Cochran, the Jawjackers. I believe they're Tennessee.
Yes, absolutely. Jawjacker Rob, he makes an awesome plug. Like it usually have the East Tennessee Fishing Show, and man, he will sell out just quick.
Instantly.
He'll work for months, and unfortunately they canceled it, due to COVID. And so I'm not sure. I'm sure Rob he'll sell them anyways because he makes a great bait, and a lot of people buy his product. Sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're on Facebook or not, but Wood Bait Nation, there's a little balsa club right on Facebook that all these custom balsa makers are on, and Rob is always posting some on there. I'm just like, oh my gosh, and they sell instantly.
Yeah. He's been at it for a long time. I mean, he's helped a lot of anglers put a lot of fish in a boat for sure. Rob has.
Heck yeah.
So talking about Chick for a second here. Talking about in the winter. For someone who's never fished a TVA system, especially in the winter months, what should they be looking for during that that winter time frame if they just want to start to get bites? Like what kind of pointers would you have for somebody who wants to learn fishing a TVA in the winter?
Well, for one, current dictates fish on TVA river chain. It doesn't matter. Does not matter. Current is a big factor. Always use the app, see if check the generation schedule and see if we're going to generate any current at all. And typically in the wintertime, it's usually moving. It's now I won't say it's like ripping, but usually they're at least pulling 12, 15,000 to 20, 22, 25. Occasionally you'll see them in the 40s, depending on if we get rain north of us and things like that. But I always look at current and look for the bait fish in general. I mean, fish want to feed. If you don't see no bait, probably not going to catch no fish. You might get the one or two, but that's right. So I always pay attention, to certain areas. I always say mix it up. That's what I do every time I go there. The lake fish is different. It's not like I could just take off tomorrow and go down there and say I know they're going to be on these 3 places, because 9 times out of 10 they're not. You don't have to figure it out each and every single time. But they basically focus on where the bait fish are. Whether they're back shallow or on main river stuff or whatnot. Baits wise, I mean, just keep it simple. It doesn't have to, don't overthink the process, in my opinion. I mean, you can catch just as many on a Bandit crankbait as well as a DT Series Rapala, as well as a homemade custom. That's it. I mean, just tie on your favorite lure that you like for wintertime, whether it be a crankbait, a jerkbait, Alabama rig, but they've seen so many of those, they're accustomed to them. So I don't always suggest throwing a rig. You might get 1 or 2 bites, but probably not. I think in the future you'll probably catch more on a Bobby Garland than you will anything, because they've seen everything. but anyways, just tie that on and jerk baits. I love throwing jerk baits. I mean, there's nothing. That's probably my favorite bite. I mean, I love topwater, but wintertime I love throwing jerk baits. I mean, tie me on a pointer 100 on a Douglas 724F spinning, son, and let her rip 8-10 pound test and go at it. I mean, I could take that one rod setup and fish all winter long. I'll be good. You know, I don't even pick up another rod. If I catch them, I catch them. If I don't, I don't. You know, so that's one of my favorite deals. So, but that's pretty much it. I mean, just get some favorite, you know, wintertime crankbaits and some jerk baits and go fishing. You know?
So, kind of a random inserted question here on the LC100 pointers. I'm assuming we're talking about the LC100 pointer. Have you noticed in like the last 8 to 6 years that the plastic density has changed a little bit and the action has changed? And compared to like the old style ones to the new ones, I feel like the old ones from like 6 to 10 years ago are way better in action. They suspend better than the new ones.
I would agree with you 100%. Yeah, I've seen that tremendously. I you know, I've got some that I only throw in tournaments. I will not tie them on in practice. No, nothing. My wife and I, if anybody follows me on Instagram or Facebook, you know, Brent Butler Fishing on Instagram or Brent Butler on Facebook. My wife and I, we went and made a little video, and we were out fishing, and I had it tied on from a previous tournament. It was there in the rod box, and stupid me, I mean, we were on some smallmouth, and we caught them. We caught some freaking good ones, and then I hang another one and breaks me off right next to the boat, and it was one of my tournament plugs. And I was like, I looked and I said, I wouldn't took $1,000 for that jerk bait. It's gone, broke it off. I went back and looked and looked and looked, and water come down and everything else, and I was still looking. Anyways, it's somewhere on the bottom of the lake. So, but when you get those really good plugs, you know, it's like you could buy 3 of the same thing, and 9 times out of 10, one of those plugs is going to outfish the other one. But they could be all 3 same plug. You know, it's kind of like what you were talking about. You know, seeing things change and stuff.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know if it's how they like pour the plastic into the mold and the way they create it, but I really feel like 6 to 10 years ago, that LC100 had way more erratic action. The new ones almost seem more dead to me. Like they pull more instead of that hard cut that they used to have. Like I used to be a huge Lucky Craft fan, but then I went through all my old plugs, and now I just throw 110s because they have a better action, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree there. I mean, I agree with you on the action. The 110, you know, I'm a huge Mega Bass fan as well. Any jerk bait, I like. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've not seen a manufacturer that I just didn't like. I just like jerk baits. Because I don't know, just have this gut feeling. I don't know. I've just been fortunate enough to be able to dial a lot of them in and catch some really big bass on jerking. So I like a lot of jerk baits, but I know exactly what you're saying within the 110. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're saying you throw it on a spinning rod?
I do. I do not throw it on bait casting at all.
That's like a Canadian special right there. Literally, you might be the only person I know south of the U.S.-Canadian border that throws a jerkbait on a spinning rod.
Yeah. Is that right? Well, I personally I can cast farther, and I feel like I can work the bait a lot better and more effective with a spinning rod than I can with a bait caster. Especially, you just think about it. If you get out there and let's say it's a mean, nasty day, winds blowing, 10, 15 mile an hour winds, you got a bait caster. You're trying to throw it into the wind. You're lined up on the spot and you're trying to throw it into the wind.
Forget about it.
9 times out of 10, you're not getting hardly any distance. It's blowing back on you. You got a backlash. It's freaking cold. Your ice is freezing on your guides because it's so cold. You're trying to dig out a backlash. You're taking your gloves off and everything else. And I'm over there with my little spinning rod going to town, and you're still digging out a backlash. So nothing against it. I just felt that that's what works for me. Really, I mean, depending on the size, I mean, I basically rig up 4 jerkbait rods. I got two Douglas 704Fs, 2 724, and that's basically what I use, 4 spinning rods. I use the 704s for like a medium-sized jerk bait, and then I'll use the 724s for like a 100 or a 110, you know, and that's it. Usually I'll have a couple with 8-pound fluoro and a couple with 10-pound fluoro.
Now, do you go straight fluoro or braided fluoro?
I personally throw straight fluoro. I do. I know a lot of guys that you know throw braiding with a fluoro leader, but I don't. I just stick with fluoro all the way, you know. So
do you get any like
might be something I could work on, but not well. You can sometimes. I mean, I've had it happen, but I go back to the old Bill Dance trick. So whenever I'll put some fluoro on my spinning reel, I'll take it in my big tub sink in the basement, and I stick it under there in the hot water and let it run for a couple minutes, and usually end up being good to go. And if I see that it's going to while I'm on the water, you know, an old school trick, cut your bait off, you know, stick your line down the water, kick the trolling motor on high, take off, troll it out, and you just keep trolling, let the twist get out of it, and you'll be good, you know. So, but I just seem like I know that braid to fluoro is it's a very effective way, you know, to fish it, and it's good and all. I'm just sometimes paranoid about, you know, my leader, because I've seen them break before, you know, regardless of the knot, things like that. You know, anytime it comes, you know, you're tying, you know, braid to fluoro, we all know what can happen. Doesn't matter the manufacturer of the line or whatever else, it's just within that knot. And so that's just my own 2 cents. And if I tie on one of my old lucky jerk baits or something, man, I'd hate to have it just because the leader busted, you know, my part or something. So
been there a few times.
I'll take my chances. Yeah, I'll take my chances on just fluoro all the way, you know. So
heck yeah.
Fair enough.
So, dude, what's coming up for you in 2021? I know you have the All-American you mentioned. You said you have a tournament on Chick in the end of May. But beyond that, is there anything set in schedule for you for 2021?
Just the Toyota Series, the Central Division. I'm gonna fish those, and I jumped in a couple BFLs, and I'm not gonna fish an entire division of BFLs this year. I'm just gonna focus basically on those 5-6 events, and that's pretty much it. I'll do a lot of fishing in between, but that's predominantly where I'm at. So I'm just gonna focus on those. So
nice.
But that's basically it. Second, I might be able to jump in 15. No, I do not. No. I've taken several people out before. I've taken a lot of kids. I enjoy taking kids out. You know, people that's passionate about it, you know, like myself, whenever I was, you know, at that age, especially some, you know, a kid that's, you know, like I said, my dad, he didn't care anything about bass fishing. He would take us fishing, walk the banks and stuff, but as far as competitive side, no. And then, you know, I used to be the kid at the ramp with 2 rods in my hand, want somebody to take me. It's like, who's this kid here? You know, no, we're not going to take them. And so I look back at it as, you know, once I basically try to give back, you know, to the next generation. You know, if somebody's in the same situation that I was, you know, and I get, you know, a lot of people come, when we going to go? When we going to go? Or, and it's not that I don't want to take anybody, but that guy comes up to me that's 40 years old and it's got a boat, 40, 50. I mean, I'm 40, but you know what I'm saying? I'm like, how about?
Yeah, he's like, he might take my weight.
Yeah, you know, I mean, pick a kid and take him instead of us going. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the way I look at it. So.
Fair enough.
But,
yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, then we wish you luck. Hopefully, you make the tour this season. I know you said you were close this past season for 2020, but 2021. Hope you get that 4-pounder that you needed.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably gonna have to have more than that because have you guys seen the schedule?
Yes, we have.
Gunnersville. Got Gunnersville in February.
Oof.
And then Del Holla. Gosh, I don't even want to look at my phone for that one. I think it's March. I believe
it's like
that's
the Ghost
right.
of Christmas Pass is coming out at Del Hollow.
Oh yeah, man. It's like Yeah. No, 1st of April. End of March, 1st of April. So I dread that one. So I've got to figure out how to catch them there. But
that almost sounds like that could be a fun tournament though, because they're probably not quite into the spawn yet, I would assume, because it's a highland reservoir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just assuming.
I would
know
agree with you. You know. No, yeah, absolutely. This past March we were there for BFL, and everybody's like, "Oh man, we're gonna rip them." Well, it was kind of a struggle. I think I had 4 fish that weighed 14 pounds or something like that, and my co-angler had 3. I don't know. I still way down the list, but our best 5, he and our best 5 would have been like 22. It's crazy. Wow. He caught freaking 3 big ones behind me. I was like, gosh, so it's just the fact of, getting that lucky bite. But I mean, I could see it being good. We didn't catch a lot of fish, I mean, we had great, good size, great bites, but I talked to some other guys that were fishing, totally different area of the lake than me. And they was like, we couldn't keep the smallmouth beat off our stuff, but I caught 30 off one point. And I'm like, I'd like at least caught 30.
I like at least caught 5.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, but still,
right.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I like to catch bass when I'm out there. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah.
It's nothing worse than fish, and getting a bite here and a bite there. I mean, just if you only get 4 to 5 bites a day, I mean, that kind of stinks sometimes because you're not really getting anything to go off of, to expand on.
It wears on you just mentally too. So
absolutely.
My takeaway from all of this is Brent Butler is going to be on Dale Hollow a lot this winter.
Absolutely, yes, I am there, and I'll be at Douglas too because I'm looking forward to the All-American. Gunnersville, I mean, I can be there pretty well. I say 2.5 hours I can be there, but I think hopefully I can go down there and get something dialed in. But I know that division will be stacked with a lot of guys. It wouldn't surprise me if there's not. I'd say there'll be at least, unless they cut it off, there'll probably be at least 240. I'd say there'll be 240 boats every event.
Good gosh.
I would say. Yeah, the way it's setting up, there'll be a lot of guys. So how it is, you get certain bodies of water, you put that many boats on there.
Yeah, do I now? I said you're going to be all packed in like sardines, fishing for a good bucket of money.
Yeah, absolutely. But when you put that many boats too, as well, I mean, it definitely changes things. You got to play the field, even though if it is a big body of water. Sure,
yeah, for sure.
But hope so. Keep my fingers crossed. Hopefully, have another good season.
We'll be rooting for you. That's for sure, dude. And again, congratulations on your retirement / rebirth into a new position that sounds like you're really enjoying it. And hopefully we can hear more about it down the road when you can talk more about it. And we just want to say congrats. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'll let you know whenever I can say a whole lot more. So you'll it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. You'll be like, whenever you see it, you're gonna be like, holy smokes, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm excited about it.
Just for you.
Yeah.
Well, dude,
no doubt. I appreciate you guys having me back on again. I really appreciate it. So
always welcome. Always.
Yeah, you are always welcome on the show, dude. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. It's been nice to catch up, and again, thank you for taking time out of your night. We appreciate it, and showing your pig on the line.
Good old Porky.
Yeah, we gotta get old Porky back up here.
And, say goodbye to Porky, and it's been
yeah, he's out. Yeah, we'll have to get him back up over here on the wall so he'll be able to. Oh gosh, I'll wait until later. I'll put him back up there in a minute.
Well, Brent,
you guys,
and just take care. And we'll be rooting for you as we move forward, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a good night, bro.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, that was good catching up with him. That was a lot of fun. The Porky one, yeah, that made
Porky.
Yeah.
Porky's got a lot of pork chops.
Yeah, he's gonna be the mascot for the podcast. Porky.
It's amazing.
Brent's shaking his head. Yes.
Love it. We can just put like Porky's face and a little emblem next to the Hobie sign.
Yeah. There's like the YouTube, there's like the YouTube like watermark that you can make for like your show profile picture. We'll put Porky as the profile picture, so he'll be an emblem down the bottom right there. It'll be perfect. Awesome.
Rock on.
Dude, that was a blast. I hope people enjoyed learning about the about TVA in the winter months and hearing about.
Thank you, Brent, for spilling some beans.
Yeah, for definitely some good pointers there. So I hope everybody enjoyed the show and got to get some pointers from Brent. And we appreciate everybody tuning in as always. Monday Night Live. Everybody tune in. We got some cool stuff we're going to talk about. And we'll release that guest on our social media. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram if you're not already. And I think that's about does it for me. What about you, Andy? You got anything left?
I'm good. I'm starving. So,
all right, we'll get you off here. Yeah, you've been looking at Porky too much. You're getting hungry.
Pork chops, man. Bacon and pork chops. Sign me up.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you guys again for always watching and listening. We'll see you guys next time.